So I was hoping that everyone would have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, yes.
Today we are reading from chapter 9, verse number 3. This works? Does this work?
This is a system we are not
This is a
familiar.
backup system.
Why is it uploading and then
It's getting disconnected, the Bluetooth connection. It connects and then it gets disconnected.
yes,
Hare Krishna. So chapter 9, verse number 3. Ashraddhadhanah purusha
Ashraddhadana Purusha
dharmasyasya parantapa
Dharmasyasya Parantapa
aprapya mam nivartante
Aprapyamam Nivartante
mrityu samsara vartmani
Mrityu Samsara Vartmani
ashraddhadhana purusha
Ashraddhadana Purusha
dharmasyasya parantapa
Dharmasyasya Parantapa
aprapya mam nivartante
Aprapyamam Nivartante
mrityu samsara vartmani
Mrityu Samsara Vartmani
ashraddhadhana purusha
Ashraddhadana Purusha
dharmasyasya parantapa
Dharmasyasya Parantapa
aprapya mam nivartante
Aprapyamam Nivartante
mrityu samsara vartmani.
Mrityu Samsara Vartmani.
Translation: those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. All right. So, at this juncture, in this particular chapter, we have heard the Supreme Lord explain the various exceptional glories of devotional service. If we don't remember it, then we can just go to the previous verse. He's called it Rajavidya, Rajabhaya, Pavitra. So many different adjectives, superlative adjectives. So that is the context. So when he explains the gem-like attributes of Krishna Bhakti, one of the attributes that he mentions is, along with the others, that it is the king of knowledge, it is most confidential of all subject matters, it is the purest, it is the purest of the pure. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
battery is low. Here the battery is low.
Battery is enough. Let me replace the battery.
Now it is working, but it gets disconnected.
Yeah.
It's not holding the Bluetooth.
It's not holding the Bluetooth.
I don't know if I got the wire though.
So when Krishna has really tried to explain the potency of devotional service, he explains that how it is complete knowledge. He explains that how this knowledge is transcendental knowledge. It also gives complete satisfaction to the practitioner. So then, it is but natural to wonder that if such divine and auspicious, sacred, spiritual knowledge which can bring you fulfillment, which is so excellent and by its very nature. Yes, go.
That I don't think that is the problem. I think
There's an issue with this.
Will you all come closer, Prabhuji?
So this goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the battery is, I guess, is the issue.
Prabhuji, will you come closer? That is okay.
Perfectly okay.
Third time the charm.
New battery?
Yes, we hope
Yeah. So, Hare Krishna. Oh, this is okay.
It is still connected. Yes.
Hare Krishna. No, this is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want, you can return back to your original seats. If you want to. If this is too loud in your ears.
You may want to go back or
Yeah.
close your ears.
So it is but natural that one could wonder that if something is so good and it is having so many wonderful attributes, because Krishna also says that it is easy to perform, then why is it that somebody would not want to practice it? Why wouldn't somebody want to practice that which is easy? Why wouldn't somebody not want to practice that which gives you the highest good? Why would somebody Hare Krishna.
Everybody come forward so we can listen to Prabhuji clearly.
Hare Krishna.
कुछ भी आगे चल clear
So,
reason.
why is it that there are some people that are not inclined to take up to this knowledge? Is it because they do not believe all that has been spoken about this knowledge? Is it because they are not interested in doing better in life? Because anybody who believes that life can be better and are used to accepting narratives in life, like, oh, if you do this, if you invest here, if you buy property here, this is the best school district, etc., etc., etc. All of this is just notions. These are all propped up by which way the market is swinging. The fashion that we have, the languages that we converse in. It is to do with what we think is the best for us. So are people not really convinced that they are trapped in the cycle of birth and death? Those who are not following this process. What is it? Why are not they enthusiastic about wanting to be liberated or seek liberation? So in answer to this inquiry, Krishna uses the word Ashraddha. Shyam Sundar is going to like my analogy now. This is just like our chanting. You like the analogy? I use it. Send it on your group. WhatsApp. Cut paste. Now for the moment, you're convinced that you're chanting nicely, and suddenly the mind goes off, shuts down. Like the system here. And when let's see, now it's
Timing.
so as soon as it shuts down, everyone loses focus on what the subject matter is. Suddenly it becomes a not so very serious endeavor. Is it correct? Is that a good analogy, no? For chanting. Chanting every single day. The wonderful realizations. How to use everyday life experiences to inspire ourselves to do good chanting in Krishna consciousness. Let's come back to our topic now. So it seems that some people are not convinced. Therefore, speaking about them, Krishna uses the word Ashraddha. So we know what the word Shraddha is. Shraddha means faith. Oh, is something else being tried out?
Yeah, there's another microsystem.
It's a small one, but it's
Small one, but it works.
I don't know Prabhu, if it works. This
it
is
works.
We can use this chair. Put this on the chair. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
We can hear.
Yes, despite the echo. The echo is not disturbing, is it?
This echo is not.
It is echoing.
It is, there is an echo. Definitely. Is that alright?
Can we reduce the echo?
Hare Krishna. This is better?
Can you speak?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Bluetooth mode.
Echo will be there. It won't go.
Hare Krishna, Hare. This is better? Okay, it's still there. But better than. Yeah, at least it won't interrupt my flow, right? Or is it better without the mic?
Without.
Without the mic, it's better.
Without the mic, it's better.
Without the mic.
All right, let's do that. So yes, see, without the mic, even I try to project my voice. That was non-intentional. So let's start at the beginning again. So
Power
Krishna
off.
has been put in a spot so as to say that, well, if you say, and you have said so many great things about this knowledge is X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and all of that, blah, 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 blah. There are like 7, 8 blahs there. Rajavidya, Rajagurya, Pavitra, Uttam, Susukham. So many like that, right? Jnana, Vijnana Sahitam. Sounds convincing. But still we find that people are not convinced. So why would anyone not be convinced to take up a process that is having so many benefits? I mean, we are definitely inspired by any process that gives us benefit. Correct? Now imagine if we were to come to programs like this and there would be no prasad at the end of the program. That would not be very, very compelling to attend. It's true. I mean, that's a part. You are going to spend about 2 hours at another place. You need to have, that's what people do. You need to stock up. So you expect prasad to be there, food to be there. So anything, any process, any event that gives us benefit. What does benefit mean? Benefit means that we may use the words mercy or blessings. Basically, it means that I get what I don't deserve. I get that which I have not worked for.
Jackpot.
I get jackpot, according to Brajdas. Right? So this is such a good jackpot. This is such a good proposal. Susukham, avyayam, inexhaustible, and everything. Such a process. So what is the mindset of people who are not convinced by this proposal? Krishna says their mindset is ashraddhadhana. That is their mindset. Indian weddings in the old days, today now it's all event managed, right? But the olden days where there were no event management teams, agencies, there would always be one relative, at least one, who would find out some issue with the entire program and would throw a tantrum. Correct? It would either be Poopa someone like that, an in-law, relation in-law. So why are some people like that? Because when it is an event of their house, the same person, if it is a marriage where a person within their family is involved, that they are very, very decent. At that point, there is somebody else, some other relation in law that takes up that job. So why is it that people are like that? Ashuddha dhana, Krishna says. It is their nature, he says. It is the way they approach benefits in life. They are not wanting to put their faith. So when they are in a situation where such benefits could be achieved, they come to such events, to such places, keeping their faith at home in their refrigerator. They don't bring their faith along. So basically they are faithless. Absence of faith. It's not that they cannot put faith in another object. They have the ability to put faith in. However, in a particular situation, in this particular situation where Krishna is explaining why one should treat the knowledge of Krishna consciousness with great sincerity, they do not have faith. And why have they not brought their faith along? Why is it that they cannot let the faith be stimulated? Because they are sure that if they allow their faith to be stimulated under these circumstances which Krishna has mentioned previously, then they will have to put an end to the way they live life. And what kind of lifestyle do they lead? Their lifestyle is one event after another. It is an incessant unfolding of events which, according to the scriptures, would be categorized as sinful activities. So one event after another in their life is or has the flavor of sin in it, or that which should not be acceptable in any civilized human society. And if that is how we approach our reactions to events in life, if that is how our reactions are to situations that we face in life, that the first response is where one thinks of that which could be sinful, there is no way good wisdom could reach these people. There's no way they can be touched by wise ideas. So, they would be totally aloof of what the knowledge of Krishna consciousness is. And if you ask them, do you have anything better to offer? Do you have any better perspective of life? They will become very defensive. They'll say, so, does that mean you are the best? Does that mean this is the best? Why can't there be something better than this? So such people will become very, very defensive in life. It's not that they do not have any kind of value system, but their value system that they have is considered to be negative values according to civilized society. Hence, they will be always averse to that which is divine spiritual knowledge. Because the nature of divine spiritual knowledge is that divine spiritual knowledge does not hold back. Divine spiritual knowledge will always be very, very magnanimous. Do we understand this? The Krishna consciousness is very magnanimous. The knowledge of Krishna consciousness does not discriminate on the basis of who you are, what is your gender, what are your abilities, what are your talents, what are your qualifications or lack of qualifications. Very, very magnanimous. Sinful activities are not as magnanimous. They demand from you qualifications. It demands from you discrimination. It demands from you seeing one as different from another. Like, let us say, I'm not saying sinful activities, but activities that are very, very negative in principle. Let's say hate. Hate demands from you. What does it demand? Distinction. Me and theirs. Ours and theirs. Right? What else does it demand? It demands qualification from you. If you want to have hate within your heart, you have to understand that I am qualified, they are not as qualified. So it demands that you be qualified. Now what is the opposite of hate? Let's say compassion, let's say love. Let's say compassion. Does compassion demand anything like that? Does compassion discriminate based on gender, based on adjectives, based on your status, based on your wealth, based on your talents? Does compassion do that? Like once Srila Prabhupada was asked, why the ISKCON people preach so much to rich? The rich don't need, they are already having so much. Why not only the poor? So Prabhupada said, are the rich people not spirit soul and trapped in a material body? Are only poor people entrapped in material body? So both need spiritual knowledge. So the nature of spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness is that it is very magnanimous. It just wants to be available to one and all. But when one has very, very narrow, selfish understanding of what is beneficial for oneself in life, such divine wisdom does not make sense. Otherwise, how can you be selfish in life? It's not possible. Therefore, the natural consequence of that is, how can any knowledge be the king of knowledge? Come on, there has to be something better than it. What if there is something better than it? They'll try to justify their position of why they cannot keep faith. So, Ashraddhadhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa. Parantapa is an adjective for Arjuna. It is another name of Arjuna. Secondary name. Dharmasyasya, dharma. In this world, from the perspective of today's verse, we can say that dharma is of two types. Only from this perspective. Now don't take that, and if you really like it, don't try to superimpose it on other verses. May or may not apply. Right? Now just because rasgulla is sweet, do not superimpose the sweetness of rasgulla on all paneer dishes. Will not work. Right? Why is palak paneer not sweet? No, but rasgulla is also made of paneer only. No. So from today's perspective, this verse perspective, because the word dharmasya has been used, so dharma is of two types. One is dharma of one's existence, one's real existence. That existence that never changes, the I am. When you look at your picture when you were in class 1 and you say, this was me when I was in class 1. So that me, that I, and then you know, maybe there is a fancy dress competition, you dress up as an old person and you have a picture of that and you say, well, this could be me 20 years from now. Maybe I look like that. So again, it's that me that was existence 20 years ago, that was existent or existing 20 years ago, and the me that could exist 20 years after. That is the eternal me. That is my eternal identity. For example, if I could just, I'm really trying my best. If I get the mercy, Shamsundar again for you. If I get the mercy of Acharyas, then I'll definitely chant nicely Hare Krishna. So Shamsundar, when he makes a statement like that, if he does make a statement like that, he's very much sure that he's going to live in the future in the same body. Because that is the understanding, by the mercy of the Acharyas, I'm going to chant very nicely Hare Krishna. Oh, great. At least for today, we have conquered that. Right? But the idea that I actually am beyond that is what is propelling, Shyam Sundar is propelling the person to make a commitment like that, to believe in a commitment like that. So it is not this human form of who I am that is making a commitment to myself. It is me as a spirit soul that is making a commitment to myself. The illusion of who I am does not allow me to see that it is me as a spirit soul that is making that commitment. Did I speak too fast? Did my logic make sense? What do you think? It wasn't circular logic, was it? Did everyone get what I was trying to say? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? When I make a commitment to someone that I'm so full, Prabhuji, Mataji, I don't think so, I cannot eat anymore, but please pack it up for me, I'll take it tomorrow. See, I'm making a commitment to myself. But it is not me as the body that is making a commitment to myself, because the body can never be sure whether the body will sustain till tomorrow or not. Unconsciously, I as the spirit soul is making a commitment to myself that tomorrow I will have the prasad. Unfortunately, if the body doesn't survive, that will not manifest. Does that make sense now? Is that clear? Yes? So, that is called as Swadharma. Swadharma are the actions or the thought processes or the what is thoughts, actions and words, speech. So any thought processes or any actions that are based on the idea, conscious or unconscious, consciously or unconsciously, that I am spirit soul, that is Swadharma. Understand? There is another dharma called as Paradharma. Swadharma is where the commitment is to me, by me, for me. Okay? Now there is Paradharma. Paradharma is where the commitment may not be, all the three factors, to, for and by, may not be fulfilled. For example, please Mataji, you can pack this and give it to me, or Prabhuji, pack this and give it to me, I'll take it and eat it tomorrow. So, I make a commitment that I am going to live in this body till tomorrow. That is Swadharma. But the idea that the food will last till tomorrow, that is Paradharma. The belief that the food is going to be good till tomorrow, that is Paradharma. The belief that tomorrow my digestion is going to be good, that is Paradharma. The belief that tomorrow something else may not change my situation, that is Paradharma. So here I'm trying to make a commitment to myself that external factors may not change, but it is by me, for me, but dependent on something that is not me. Does that make sense?
Yes,
me existing tomorrow is dependent on me myself as spirit soul. So most of the commitments that we make are in terms of paradharma. Most of the way that we look at life are in terms of paradharma. Understand? So, those who are the believers, those who accept Krishna's words, they are inspired by how great Krishna consciousness is, because they identify or they are more comfortable with their swadharma. But the ashraddhadhana, they are totally immersed in paradharma. And hence it may seem that they have values in life because paradharma. So to keep the food good, they will have a refrigerator. To get the refrigerator, they will work hard, spend money. In fact, they will also try to have other ingredients that they can add to whatever preparation is there. After 12 hours, when they sit down to eat, a little chutney here, a little papad there. See, look at the structure, look at the value system that they have. They do have that. So they do have intelligence. Those who believe these external objects to be self-sustaining, although they know for sure, very sure, Prabhuji, Mataji, please be careful. I'm not sure if this food will last till tomorrow. So they're very sure that it is going to come to an end. Right? We are very sure that tomorrow, I hope I can chant nicely because I've had a late dinner today. So we know that the process of chanting could not go so well because dinner, the stomach could be heavy. So we know that there is a beginning and an end to such propositions that we have in life, which means there is creation and there is destruction to such propositions that we have in life. So if anything that has a manufacturing date and an expiry date, to convince oneself towards the eternality of that. No Prabhuji, no Mataji, your devotion is exceptional. This prasad will last till tomorrow because of your devotion. Krishna is very merciful. If Krishna wants me to have this prasad tomorrow, then Krishna will let this prasad stay good. These propositions. What are these propositions? These propositions are trying to justify our faith in that which is temporary. Justify our faith in that. Those who are always trying to do that, it is not that they are under the illusion that matter will last eternally. No, they know it is going to be destroyed. But they think they have figured out how to make it sustain longer. Right, Shri? Starting on time, ending on time. Sustenance will be longer. The sustenance of something going on in a structured way. So convincing oneself. Matter will always go towards degradation. There's going to be disintegration. The Ashraddhadana are those who try to put their faith in that which is non-eternal more than that which is eternal. Therefore, dharmasyasya parantapa. And the biggest surprise in life is the kind of investment we put with faith in this body. The kind of faith that we put in the extensions of this body, like our family. So every practitioner here must have heard of how we have actually two families. One is the biological family, the other is a devotee family. And we put faith in that. And then we start wondering that, how can a brother or a sister behave like that? How can devotees do that? With both kind of families. It's amazing how we go overboard in putting our faith in the body that is temporary, in relationships that are temporary. As soon as a devotee leaves this congregation and goes to another congregation, most of you may lose touch with that devotee and they may lose touch with you. Then, what happened to your family? The family mood. I'm not saying that it should not be there. What I'm saying is going overboard with it. Yes? The amount of faith that we put in objects that have some kind of status. How many of us would be comfortable with a bead bag that only is like this, Gomukhi? Have you seen bead bags like that? Raise of hands. How many of us are going to be comfortable with it? How many of us will make do with it if we don't have a regular bead bag? Let me give you a scenario. Your beads are out of a bead bag somehow or the other. You're traveling. In your travel, you lose your bead bag. No one has an extra bead bag. So you have to make some temporary arrangement. What kind of arrangement would you do for your beads? You cannot leave it just like that, right? What kind of arrangement would you do? You'd find a piece of cloth and wrap up the bead in that piece of cloth, right? What makes the cloth, which is like a bead bag, more secure than the cloth that you have right now? Think about it. And then we'll understand what Krishna means here. The kind of faith we put in that kind of cloth, just because it is of a particular shape, a particular texture, a particular idea. Let's suppose there is a bead bag. Show me this bead bag. Thank you. Raja. This thing can anytime
break.
lose its connection with the pouch. Is the bead bag still functional? Any problem holding it like this? But this seems to be more natural, isn't it? Your chanting for the next couple of days or couple of hours would really be disturbed till you get a new bead bag which goes like this, and then you'll feel, Prabhuji, Mataji, I was just not able to chant properly because I was constantly thinking, I have made some offense. My bead bag was not happy with me. So this got disconnected. Here. Thank you. This is, from that point of view, this is a matter of status. This bag is a matter of status. It is what identifies you as a devotee. If you carry a bead bag like this to any program, for a couple of days, after some time, someone or the other is going to ask you, is something wrong with your bead bag? And if actually you show them that your bead bag is without this, they're like, the next event at your house, you will have 10 new bead bags coming to you. I'm not saying it is wrong. Please don't, I'm not saying it is wrong. What I'm saying is that this becomes a matter of status. It defines who you are. This is called as dhana sampatti. Our possessions in terms of wealth, in terms of assets. Let's just give an example of bead bag. It could be your shoes, it could be your comb, it could be your tilak, it could be your glasses. So many things. Is it wrong? Is it right? That's not the question. That is not what we are addressing. What we are addressing is when we put our faith in such temporary objects, convincing ourselves of the eternality of these objects. That yes, it is going to last for quite a long time. That is the biggest surprise. Why would we want to put our faith in such objects? Why don't we just accept it as much faith we put on the gravel that is outside, as much faith we put on the grass that we walk on? Do we even pay attention to it? Because we know that we just have to do with it. Just do what you have to do and get on with life. So small attachments, so many small attachments in this life creates or assumes this persona where one can feel uncomfortable with putting faith. And here, what Krishna is speaking of is people who are so uncomfortable putting their faith in the greatness of spiritual knowledge. For it is easy for them to take shelter of, it is easy for them to believe in temporary dead matter than to believe in divine spiritual knowledge. It is easy. I guarantee you, really guarantee you, that the process of chanting is definitely, it is a huge blessing in Kali Yuga. Chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Try this out. For anyone who wants to do sincere chanting, try this out and see. Where does our sincerity, in terms of sincerity, where does it stand on the measuring scale that we have made up? Chant on your beads. Chant on your beads. And chant without beads, same rounds on your fingers. This also helps you count. There could be a chance that this would be very difficult. So if we think that we are very sincere because we are chanting on our beads, then we are still dependent on those beads. If we are so weak that the beads are not, we are not able to hold on to those beads, this is going to be really difficult for us because we will not be convinced that we are actually chanting good rounds. Make sense? Yes. What I'm trying to say? Yes? Please put only a suitable amount of faith in your existence as this body, which includes all designations such as I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for 35 years. etc. Please put only what is required, only that amount of faith in that existence. Because that existence is temporary. I'll give you an example. If you have been practicing Krishna consciousness for 35 years of your life, and then you give up chanting, you don't chant anymore. Neither do you care, nor does anyone else care. Alright? So even when you are chanting sincerely for 35 years, you should not care as much about who you are or what others think of you or about you. It's as simple as that. Those are only relationships of vyavahar. You have to deal with each other. So Swadharma and Paradharma. Swadharma is where that which is self-established, our existence as spirit soul. That faith should be constant. And Paradharma is that which we, according to the birth that we have taken, need in terms of facilities to use. We should put only as much faith as is required, not beyond that. In terms of our emotions, in terms of our time, we should only put as much as is required and never beyond it. When Krishna uses the word dharmasya here, he is speaking about this swadharma. He is speaking about eternal righteousness. That which is eternal and that which is right. And hence Swadharma, or our existence as part and parcel of Krishna, and hence rendering service is what really is our existence, is what has value. This is eternal and this is righteous. And if people do not have faith in this, in the idea that they are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore service is the very nature of part and parcel towards the whole, then they are going to express their lack of faith. They are going to say, this is not what we believe in, how is it possible, etc., etc., etc. And when we have such righteous approach in life, that becomes the platform on which we function, then every act that we perform is an act of upasana or worship. It could be eating, it could be sleeping, it could be working, it could be taking care of a family, it could be taking care of your car, it could be you buying a new car, giving up an old car, it could be you redoing your house. Any and every action. It could be you shooting arrows at the opposite party and they being hurt by it in a war of dharma, a dharma yuddha. And still, that is upasana, or that is worship, that is bhakti yoga. In every act which is based on this perspective that we just mentioned, the goal is the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord only. That is the goal. That is the objective. And hence, the act and the performance of that activity, it becomes joyful and it is very, very exhilarating to perform. It is very, very motivational. An aspirant on such a path is assured of reaching the goal, is assured of getting the highest result, because the supreme goal is Krishna. What can be higher than that? So there is assurance of reaching the highest goal. When and how, that depends upon the individual performer. But the assurance is there. Why is the assurance there? Because the goal is Krishna. No more goal shifting. So since the goal is there, goal is assured, goal is Krishna, you are going to be progressively achieving your goal. Therefore, it is there to be achieved. It is the highest result. And when you are approaching Krishna, the true substance, that which is true, that which is eternal, not only is it the highest objective, but it also gives you direct realization of that which is eternal. When you keep your goal as, let's say, you want to graduate in engineering, if that is your goal, it will take you 4 years minimum to do that. Maybe 3 years to 4 years if you finish early. It's quite possible, 3 years, maybe 4 years on an average, and something goes wrong, it would take 4, 5, 6 years, whatever. But whatever time it takes based upon the individual performances, the goal is there, the goal exists, so definitely one day you're going to achieve the goal. And as you make your progress towards that goal, you're going to be exhilarated, you're going to be excited about it, you're going to be happy about it. Yes or no? Let's say 4 years of engineering. First year finished, aren't you happy? Another 3 years only to go. Aren't you motivated? Yes. Keep your head in there, you'll make it. Right? Isn't that the highest objective? Because you've kept that as the highest objective in your life. It is the highest objective for you. It is the highest goal. So when Krishna explains bhakti as knowledge, that is expressed in the 9th chapter, he says this is transcendental knowledge. Getting a degree is actually achieving a platform of knowledge. But why does that degree not seem abstract? Why does it seem something that is you're able to hold on to? That piece of paper, why does it seem something substantial? Because the knowledge that you have is abstract. Isn't it? The knowledge that you have is somewhere, it's not on the pieces of pages. Is it? Is it on the digital page? Is that the knowledge there? Those are just symbols. Those are just alphabets. Where is the knowledge and your understanding? Why does a piece of paper convince you that now you have good understanding of it? It seems substantial. Right now, because we are not getting a piece of paper, hence we are not able to realize it. What Krishna is speaking about is a platform of knowledge where it is susukham, it is avyayam. That is the platform that is speaking of. Hence, this faith cannot just be intellectual belief. This faith cannot simply be someone's dogma, somebody, Om Shanti Shanti. It cannot be Aham Uvacha. XYZ says so and therefore you follow. It cannot be dogma. It cannot be a set of principles that good-natured people like you come together and convince yourself that this would be happy or this would be good. It is not simply a belief in the statement of each other. Why do you feel that you are a good person? Because my mother told me. Because all my colleagues said so. See, they gave me a certificate of appreciation also. Why do you believe that you are a good person? Why XYZ is a good person? Because they got initiated. Because they have an initiated name. So it is not simply a belief in the statement of one another. It is unshakable conviction of the self that knowledge of me as spirit soul is the only knowledge that can sustain through 8,400,000 species of life. That is the only conviction that sustains. From our perspective, the human perspective, we may not really understand that. Does a lion actually know it is a lion? Does a lion even know that we have given the lion the name lion? Does a lion know that?
Probably not.
Just like, do you really know that we have given you the name Srinivasan? What you got? Can you understand the parallels? What the lion definitely knows is, I have teeth, I am hungry, I have to catch an animal, a live animal, and eat it. I cannot live on a dead animal. A lion knows that. What does a cow know? What does a goat know? I have teeth, I have a mouth, I am hungry, I have to nibble on the grass. I am thirsty, I have to go and drink water from somewhere. They have other senses. Some of the senses may let them know what is healthy, what is not healthy. So maybe they will not drink contaminated water. And then somebody will come up with a nice reel. Even the animals know what is contaminated water. Humans don't. Animals are more intellectual than humans. All right, get the Nobel Prize for it or whatever. I have to live. I cannot die is what every animal knows. That is what I and you know. When we put that understanding into conceptions like, I have to live because my family cannot exist without me, there the illusion starts. I have to live because my devotee community, that is what they think of me. There starts the illusion. All right? Understand this? So the inner conviction that the self alone, that I alone in my understanding that I am eternally Krishna's servant, and Krishna is existing in my family members, and Krishna is existing as every member of this devotee community in their hearts. That is the only knowledge that can give us peace, that can make us feel immortal and happy. To have that vision, to have that kind of wisdom is what Krishna is explaining as Raj Vidya. And why is it Raj Guhya? Why is it most confidential knowledge? We all know about it. Do we think we actually know about it? Or are we happy with the idea that in Pittsburgh, people know me? Are we just happy with that idea? Therefore, if I go to some other place, I don't feel comfortable there. No one knows me. I always feel like coming back to Pittsburgh. Good. So, hence it is Raja Guhya. It is confidential knowledge. Now, obviously, when I'm speaking to you, I'm going to give that perspective. When I'm speaking to somebody who's not regularly, I consider you to be coming regularly to classes, but I'm speaking to somebody who's not regularly coming to classes, then I'm going to speak that devotees, they understand confidential knowledge. But when I'm speaking to you, then I realize that I have to explain things to myself. There, if there's a different audience, I have to explain things to them more than to myself. So the inability to comprehend pure devotion and why such a high status or position has been given to bhakti in the scriptures may seem very difficult to understand. We may accept it as our understanding because that is our culture. But many a times, when we are by ourselves, we may think it to be an exaggeration. Certain aspects, certain viewpoints, we may think it as an exaggeration. Why? Because they challenge who we are. Those propositions challenge us and make us feel inferior. The Ashraddha Dhana feels inferior according to what pure devotional service speaks. That one has to be selfless, and the Ashraddha Dhana feels inferior because the Ashraddha Dhana does not understand what it means to be selfless. So feels insecure. Subconsciously, this feeling builds a barrier, it builds a wall that prevents divine wisdom to come inside. And even if such people, it is a fact that even such people want peace in life, they want happiness in life, they're striving for liberation. But since they're not able to accept divine wisdom, they'll find out other ways. Oh, let us form a club. The club will come up with an idea. So they come up with their own concocted ideas, their own diverse speculations. And they would try to increase their faith through such mechanisms. Unfortunately, they will not have success. It will be very difficult for them to have success in their attempts. Therefore, they become averse to Lord Krishna. Because Krishna propagates it. They want to be averse. Hence, they become averse to Lord Krishna. Lacking in devotion and being full of selfishness, along with insatiable desires, such persons are forcefully propelled into this lethal current of samsara, the perpetual cycle of birth and death, which is very terrible because it makes you revolve from one birth to another birth to another birth perpetually. And whichever species that we take birth in, we accept that to be the most important existence of our life. We may use terms like, maybe in the past we may have had done so many pious activities, therefore now we have this situation. Or we may use terms like, oh, it is simply by the mercy of XYZ people that today we have this situation. However, we accept that situation to be great, to be wonderful, which further makes us staunchly believe unconsciously in the idea of our existence as the body. Because it is the body that projects that. Therefore, there is an attachment to this body. Simple example. Just by yourself. There's no one else to watch you. You actually do not have any other conception of, you do not really want to project yourself as anything else. You are totally sure of who you are. How many males will be comfortable putting on a sari as a dhoti? And how many females would be wanting to use as a dhoti, as a sari, just by yourself? Think about it. You're alone in your house. The only cloth males have is a sari. How comfortable would you be putting it around as a dhoti? Same thing for females. It's just a piece of cloth. Society has given that piece of cloth the name as a sari or as a dhoti. Now we have identified ourselves as someone. And even when we are by ourselves, we start questioning our own personality. If we wrap a sari around us as a dhoti, we start wondering, am I really a male? Or do I have some female inclinations? Or the ladies will start wondering, do I have some male inclinations in me? And then with so much data, so much information about how in one body you can think that you're of the opposite gender, other one thing leads to another, and then the psychology and its effect, and time is wasted. I just gave an example. See, these examples come to me just like that. It floats around in my head. So sometimes these examples make sense, sometimes they will not make sense. But what I'm trying to say is that as soon as we take birth in any species, then the identity that we have in that species becomes the most important to us. And based on that, we express our intents as who we are. Even if there is no need to express that intent. For example, in a quiet room by yourself, there's no need to express the intent whether you're a male or a female. You just take a cloth, wrap it, and sit down and chant. But if you feel uncomfortable, like, oh, sari, I never knew sari is also so comfortable. Why are you even worried? It's just a piece of cloth. Make sense? We believe in the philosophy of birth and death, which basically means that we believe that we have taken many births before this. It couldn't be just, do you think this is our just second birth? Like last birth, maybe we were somewhere and now this is just a second birth. How many people believe that this is just their second birth? So more than 2 births at least, right? So every birth there has been attachment and there has been the removal of that attachment. We cannot say it has been detachment, but we have forcefully taken away from those attachments and pushed into another situation where we created other attachments, taken away from that. And so this is called as attachment and separation. Attachment and separation. So attachments we make, separation time brings about. Yes or no? Attachments we make, separation time brings about. Despite that, we have a strong attachment to the place where we are born. We have a strong attachment to the events that are very, very important in our life. We have a strong attachment to objects, specifically, if it is a house. How many of us are... Did you take your education in a different city from where you're right now? Like, did you graduate from school in a different city from where you're now? Now you have someone visiting along with you the city where you got schooled. Wouldn't you want to tell them as you go past that school, this is where I was educated? Events, things, places, circumstances. Once upon a time this happened, you know. I met XYZ Guru Maharaj, and this is what exchange took place. It's not right, it's not wrong. The attachment that we have to the body that had those exchanges is the illusion. So despite having undergone so many different births where there was attachment, separation, somehow or the other, despite being forcefully retired from attachments in every life, we come back in a new life to develop more and more attachments. any process that interferes with our ability or with our desire to make such commitments towards material attachments, that makes us very insecure. In fact, we may have the most lavish facilities and we may not really have to work for anything. We really don't have to feel insecure about anything, like being in Swargaloka. And no insecurity there at all because there is no disease, no old age. Still people make attachments. Even in such places. And people like you and me, we sometimes feel proud that, oh, we are so fortunate that we have taken birth as humans, because even in the higher planetary systems, they do not have as many miseries that we have here. Here it's balance. So we are more fortunate. Oh, Krishna. How dangerous and perilous is human existence. Wow. It's full of peril. It's full of danger. Then Srila Prabhupada, he explains what to do. So this is what Krishna explains. What are the challenges that people feel when they're not able to accept and put their faith in the real knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So then Prabhupada in the purport, he explains about faith. He says, there are three different levels of people according to their faith. And he begins with, and he designates them as first class, second class, and third class. So first he speaks about third class people. He says third class people have no faith. Then you wonder that why they're classified as the people who are having faith. Because he's saying there are three classes according to the faith that people have. And in the purport, Prabhupada makes a statement, third class people have no faith. Third class are those who have no faith. Even if they are officially engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Most probably they'll slip after some time. They become engaged, but because they do not have complete conviction and faith, difficult for them to continue in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, when they feel a little comfortable with the gifts that they receive in Krishna consciousness, they say, all right, now I will go my own way. So, they may fall away from the process of Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada in the same purport makes a statement that a third class person has some faith. What is the third class person's faith? First he makes a statement that the third class person has no faith, but then he says he has some faith. What is the faith of the third class person? The faith is that devotional service to Krishna is very good. It is like you and me telling someone else that, yeah, if you like it, it is good for you. There's a good career in the world market out there for you. But you yourself have no interest in that subject. So a third class person is somebody who has faith that, oh, what you are doing is very good because devotional service to Krishna is very good, but has not gained adequate knowledge of Krishna through scriptures. Adequate. There's a difference between adequate knowledge and read knowledge. You understand?
What is the second one?
Read, just through reading. Adequate knowledge and read knowledge. Because when you read a set of information, all you do is understand the concepts that are there. That is what reading is. Sometimes you may not even understand the concepts that are there, but let us accept that you understand what the concepts that are there. That is called as Read knowledge. What is adequate knowledge? Adequate knowledge is when you read and understand the concepts and know what is useful for you and what is not useful for you. Adequate knowledge is where you have the filters to distinguish between what information is useful for you and what is not useful for you. For example, being merciful is useful for you. Therefore, meat eating is not useful for you. Correct? Makes sense? So, you've understood the concepts. Being merciful is about you understanding how you can render service to all living entities. Meat eating is about how it is not good to be, or it is not helpful to be violent towards animals. Sometimes you may compare and contrast while expressing that knowledge. Oh, compassion means you should not be harming animals. Whoa, that is not what all compassion means. Please. But that is the way you present it. Therefore, that is read knowledge. You have not distinguished clearly between what is useful and what is not useful. Therefore, what is compassion? Compassion is where you render service to all animals. And therefore, a small part of it is that you don't harm animals. Make sense? Because you're rendering service, there is no way you could ever think of harming animals. But if someone else is harming, you try to prevent that, or you try to not participate in that. Make sense? What is adequate knowledge and what is read knowledge? So third class devotee may have knowledge, may have the faith that Krishna consciousness is good, but does not have adequate knowledge from the scriptures. And hence, they may be more attracted towards fruitive activities. That can I give classes after reading scriptures? Fruitive activity. Can I preach after giving scriptures? Fruitive activity. Can I recite verses for the public to let them know that I know? Another fruitive activity. We train our children actually to be fruitive in their activities. When you ask your children every day to stand in front of God and recite the 12th chapter and not just in front of an audience at the convocation ceremony, then actually it becomes a very, very powerful activity. But if it is only at the convocation that you ask your children to do, or it is only at some event, Janmashtami event, can my child recite 12th chapter of the Gita? Fruitive activity. Many of us do that, isn't it? Train them very well in how to be fruitive. And then when they grow up and they start questioning your own practices, you're like, what can we do? Ultimately, Krishna is in control. We gave them good training. But Krishna is teaching us detachment. So third class, faithful people who have faith, third class, are those who are infected by being fruitive. However, as soon as they cure themselves of this infection, then there is a possibility that they can become second class or first class. So what is second class? Second class are those who are not very, very advanced in understanding devotional scriptures, but they have adequate knowledge. They know how to filter out what is useful and what is not useful. Therefore, they spend, out of 10 activities, 8 activities are spent trying to explain how one should be friendly towards all living entities. And 2 out of 10 activities is where they are in a debate with people that why one should not be violent towards animals. They find avenues where they can actually allow the full scope for the compassion to manifest. They're not always looking for challenges and debates. Oh, let me go to that slaughterhouse and challenge them and, do that. Do that for 1 hour. Then at least for 8 hours, go somewhere and spread the message of service. That is also needed. Balance it out like that. Because that is real compassion. So the second class devotee understands that. But however, is not advanced in the understanding of devotional scriptures. Has automatic faith in Krishna Bhakti. So doesn't need to be told about it regularly. Is convinced about Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna. Convinced that this is the practice that I need to follow. I mean, yes, there could be others. I know my parents, they follow something else. Maybe my husband, my wife, my friend, my brother, someone else follows some other practice. This is what I need to practice. That is a second class devotee with faith. What is the meaning of they do not have advanced knowledge of the scriptures? Basically, it means that they cannot engage in scriptural discussions for long. They immediately start feeling, oh, this is too much of knowledge, too much of data, too much of information. Let me give you an example of first class and second class. The second class would be the absence of the quality that we see in first class. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a devotee. He found a good companion known as Gadadhar Pandit. So Gadadhar Pandit would start speaking to him about Dhruva Maharaj. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, repeat that. As it is. He would not give in any other commentary by any other acharya. No different book. Same book. And he would repeat that, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be so happy, he would say, repeat it again. This is advanced knowledge of scriptures. Advanced knowledge of scriptures is that when you have an element in your hand, like chemistry, you have an element in your hand, you're so fascinated about it that you want to see all the different sides of that element. And you don't need different commentaries on it. You want to explore that. That is advanced knowledge of scriptures. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing. Gadadhar is repeating, he's hearing. Gadadhar is repeating, he's hearing. Gadadhar, how many times? At least 100 times. So should we try and do that? Next Ekadashi, Nirjala Ekadashi. Let us try and listen to Dhruv Charitra at least 10 times. Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard it repetitively. So if you do it repetitively, you will make it. No, it will be a time well spent. But advanced understanding of scriptures means you have to know that these great seers, they have put in, we have this Veda base of all these great seers. And we have access to all of that. And each of those propositions speaks of Krishna either directly or indirectly. So we see all those facets through just one pastime narration. If we have read scriptures a lot. So they have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor good faith, but by association and simplicity they are simply trying to follow. That is second class. What are first class? First class are those that they are well versed in Vedic literatures, scriptural knowledge, and they have attained the stage of firm faith. So Prabhupada concludes by saying, it is only by faith that one can advance in Krishna consciousness. Faith is created by association of devotees. Please understand this very, very carefully. Faith is created by association of devotees. It does not say practicing devotees. So don't misrepresent that in your head. Being with practicing devotees is good. It will help you develop faith. But that kind of faith that is being spoken of here is faith is created by association of devotees. So either we decide whether we are practicing devotees or are we devotees. And then it will be easy to understand what is the application or misapplication of this statement. Okay? And in conclusion, so unfortunate are those people who even after hearing such vast evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, they are hesitant and cannot put their faith in devotional service of the Lord. They cannot put their faith in the excellence of devotional service of the Lord. And even if such people make a show or they try to be engaged in devotional service, there is little hope of them gaining perfection. Hence, one must try and discharge devotional service in good faith. So the first two verses is where 9.1 and 9.2 is where Krishna is explaining the positive approach towards having faith in scriptures. That scriptures have all these qualities, or devotional service has all these qualities, and therefore it is good for you. The third verse, he is explaining the glories of scriptures by giving a negative perspective, that if someone is not having that good fortune, that person can never get the great perfection that can be achieved by devotional service. So the first two shlokas are representing the vidhi process, and the third verse is expressing the nishedh process. And vidhi, nishedh, do's and don'ts are very, very helpful if one has to lead a progressive and productive life in material existence. Do's and don'ts both are helpful in being productive in material existence. So we'll stop here. Any questions? Any doubts?
Prabhuji, the mistaken identity or the attachment to the external factors that you mentioned, or a dharma, how do we conceive that in a material world, that we are dependent on certain external factors too? For example, the refrigerator that you have mentioned. So there are factors that are required. So what is the intent in this particular message? That should we not factor that, or should we factor that this is how the material world works? I did not follow that particular message because we are limited in certain aspects in this material world, that we are dependent on external factors too.
Correct. Let me, a simple analogy that comes to my mind is, what is, once you have a refrigerator at home, what is more compelling? To cook or to make 2 pedas every day fresh and offer to Krishna? Just 2. Or to make 10 and offer 2 every day to Krishna for the next 5 days?
What is more compelling?
What is more compelling? If you have a refrigerator.
If you have a
What is more compelling?
ladder.
The latter. Making 10, keeping it in the refrigerator, knowing very well that it will stay good. It stops you from working for Krishna every single day. And not working for Krishna every single day is ignorance. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Where did that come from? Is it because of a lack of knowledge of Krishna consciousness? No. It is a dependence on the refrigerator. Correct?
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. So that is paradharma. Now if you make 10, offer everything to Krishna, or offer just 2 to Krishna, the rest offer it to, send it to different temples around. Send it to every house and ask them, you please offer it to your deity, whatever. Because the next day again you will be working to make at least 2 pedas, if not 10 again. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Hare Krishna. No, sorry. Now the refrigerator can be helpful if you are getting milk from New Vrindavan and keeping it for 10 days, 5 days, because it's not possible. But because the refrigerator is there, you may be compelled to do this with the pedas. Yes. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So therefore I said, I'm not saying whether the refrigerator is good or bad. I'm not saying that.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
So we have like some faith, try to progress in Krishna consciousness. And over the time, we are feeling that this is the faith is our faith is correct. Whatever we are doing is right. And what other person, the other like society they are doing, it's not right. They are doing something wrong. And over the time, it comes in mind that whatever we are doing is correct, other is doing wrong. And this way, it's kind of develop. Hate is the strong word, but definitely some develop this kind of thing. Is it not dangerous that we're trying to develop some faith, trying to progress in but at the same time start developing hate to someone who is not following this kind of thing? Suppose someone is meat eater, someone like a different kind of cow slaughter, someone. So over the time, whatever we are doing is correct. They are doing, but in same way, they are also thinking about me. So is it not kind of dangerous that whatever? We're trying to develop faith and trying to grow in bhakti. At the same time, it's unknowingly develop kind of hate in someone.
So we are trying to practice devotional service, and we are trying to advance in bhakti. At the same time, we may be very, very negative about somebody else following some other process. You give the example of, or some other practices. You give the example of somebody who kills animals and eats their flesh, meat eater. That is what the example you gave. So we may feel hateful towards them. And you also said that they could also feel similarly towards us. Maybe not meat eaters, but somebody else may feel some ways hateful towards us. Correct? Different situation. So, what was the question there?
The question is
it all right doing devotional service and having such emotions?
Actually,
Is that the question?
Like develop kind of hate to someone or else.
Unknowingly.
Yeah, that means definitely means I'm feeling that I don't have hate, but definitely it's developed a hate. Someone kind of feel to even the suppose I'm not having the faith whatever some other person is having. Sometimes trying to feel animal, human being also. Sometimes that strong hate like develop slowly. But we are feeling whatever I'm doing, that is the correct path I'm doing bhakti. But if the hate develops, what is the meaning of bhakti? Means,
So the question is that if such hate develops, then what is the use of doing bhakti?
Yeah.
Right? That is the question.
But definitely we are not going. Definitely, like you give the example, body, we have to reach up to the level of body, so dharma, for dharma. Means after that, I was thinking that, okay, it's a long way to go to, means in bhakti, means we are really doing nothing. After that, I realized definitely kind of strong hate developed with someone. So, means how to avoid this kind of thing, even Christianity.
So the question is still same.
Yeah, yes.
And whatever other statements you made is just
Yeah.
some thought process
Yes.
going on in your mind, right?
Yes.
So the question is that, going back to the examples that we spoke of, that you mentioned, by doing bhakti, it is expected that we do not have feelings like hate towards others. So what is the use if we still have faith? Correct?
We still have hate.
Sorry, we still have hate. What is the use of doing bhakti? Because that faith should help us overcome such tendencies. That is the question, isn't it? Again, let me give you a small example, right? Have you ever been in a situation where you yourself or you've seen somebody having a book open in front of them, maybe a textbook, maybe it is Hindi literature, maybe it is science, a young student, school, maybe high school, right? And they're spending hours at it. However, they're not actually reading the book. They are very, very good at at mind travel. So within their mind, they may be at that desk and the table for 4 hours. But actually, they were just, oh, I met my friend and we went there, or there was this boy and this girl, and I like this boy or I like this girl, and okay, this is what I'm going to talk to her or him, or this is what my mother told to me, or just last night there was this huge fight and that person spoke so bad about me. Those things are going on in the head. But what does it appear like? So what is expected? That because they are reading, they should be able to overcome these feelings and focus on doing well in their studies. Isn't that expected? And if to a bystander this looks like, oh, even after 4 hours of reading, why they are not understanding the subject matter. So what happens within our consciousness is a matter of free will. We with our free will make choices where we want to invest our consciousness in. So if we are practicing devotional service, maybe for the time that we are doing those practices, we are investing a consciousness therein. Maybe. However, with those limited amount of time of practice, what is expected is that we could carry it forward. Not the practices, but the idea of investing our time in such practices. That is expected. However, if we are not able to do that, it is not devotional service or the practices of devotional service that is falling short. It is our own choices that we make in life because of our free will. We choose to let events, objects, or external factors affect us such that we can express hate. Isn't reading of the scriptures supposed to help us with that? It is. However, even while we are reading the scriptures, if we are not able to give up the past impressions that are there, we are not able to say, okay, closure, from now onwards, it's a new life for me, then those impressions are going to make us hate the other person. Hate doesn't, if I read the scriptures, I have no hate towards you, I will not start hating you now onwards. There has to be some reason for me to hate you. Now, if that reason is very, very strong, then just one event can make me hate you. if I realize that you are the person that was the cause of the destruction of my entire career and everything I lost, and now I have so much of debt just because you cunningly destroyed me, then that could make me hate you. Very strong reason there. But typically we don't have such strong reasons. It has to be a series of events that slowly but surely adds on to create hate within our consciousness. When you're reading scriptures, why are we letting that stay within our mind? Because that is what the scriptures and that is what devotional service tells you, that till now who you were, put a closure to it, start yourself as a new person. It is like a person reading a book but not reading what is there in the book. Just being involved in those memories. So who chooses to stay involved with those memories? It is a practitioner. So what can devotional service do? Can devotional service force you against your free will to make choices? Can those practices force you to go against the choices that you want to make? No. But then how else can we justify? We cannot be the bad person, right? Therefore, for justification, we say, what is the use? Devotional service is not able to do that. It is like someone saying, what is the use? You know, those books, they are not helpful. My child is reading it for 4 hours, it's not helpful. Now, sometimes the book may be in English. Parents want the child to read in English, understand in English, and the child finds difficulty in so reads for 8 hours. He is not able to understand the subject matter. Similarly, we go on reading the Bhagavad Gita, we go on chanting Hare Krishna, we are not able to understand what it means to us. What is the meaning of chanting Hare Krishna? We think the meaning of chanting Hare Krishna is that we'll be able to love everyone. No, the meaning of chanting Hare Krishna is you being honest with yourself. Knowing what your weaknesses are so you can overcome those weaknesses. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us Cheto Darpana Marjanam. By chanting, the mirror of the heart is cleansed. What does it mean, cleanse? If you want to clean a mirror, you have to take a cloth and rub it, right? So mirror of the heart is cleansed. So you have to do the rubbing, isn't it? Now supposing on a mirror you have put a very important address and somebody is cleaning it. Hey, stop, don't rub that. Clean the rest part of the mirror, but leave that is very important. So similarly we are chanting and chanting says, okay, I'm going to clean the mirror. And you say, no, stop. Those memories you let them be because I want to hate that person. We make our choices like that. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So we have to address those challenges. We have to let the Holy Name erase all those memories. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for explaining the faith, the points you explained, and Prabhupada explaining the third point about the unfortunate people, those who hear but still are not able to follow or trying to follow or faking it, but they'll still have opportunity to succeed. So I really like that point, last point, Prabhu, which you explained from Prabhupada. Thank you for explaining it. One question I have on faith, Prabhu. So in chanting, it's with me. I'm attached to chanting. I'm having hard time reading scripture. So whenever I have time, I just want to chant. My mind doesn't allow me to go towards reading scripture, but it just tells me to chant. Whenever I'll have time, I'm just chanting. So how to remind myself that reading scriptures is also important. Like how to overcome that. Now towards chanting, I just want to chant. If I have time, if I'm driving, I'll chant all the time. I'm been told, I asked senior devotees to read, like hear Prabhupada's broadcast, but my mind doesn't, it just asks me to chant. So
While driving.
whatever, while driving, while I'm doing anything which, even if I'm sitting alone, whatever, and if I have free time.
If you're in, let's say, in a house or a safe space,
Yes.
and you have a book in front of you, your mind still tells you to
Still,
chant.
yes, still tends me to.
So it's not about just because driving is a different situation.
Yeah, yeah. No,
All right?
no, yes, driving is.
So if there
I'll
you
just give you an
feel,
example of-
better chanting, chant. If you don't want to hear, that's all right.
Yeah.
Because what you should focus on is driving,
Yes.
not the chanting or the hearing. That is most important.
Yeah.
We may think that, oh, we are expert at doing it. However expert you are, expert swimmers are are at the greatest danger of drowning.
Yeah.
Because those who are not expert swimmers, they are very, very afraid of going into deep waters. So the greatest casualties amongst drowning people are those who drown in water are those who are good swimmers.
Yeah.
That is a higher casualty. There's actually statistics for it.
Yes.
Yes. Similarly, driving. Okay, so we're not speaking of that just at home or some secure place under a tree, whatever, secure place. You have an opportunity to read there, you have time for reading,
Yeah.
and your mind tells you to chant.
Yes.
However, is there a question that is that okay, or is there a question that how do I find taste for some reading? What is the question?
So is it fine that if I chant only, like, is it really important in Krishna consciousness? Is it really important I should be reading more scriptures, or as prescribed rounds, I should be doing that much only?
How do you know that chanting is good? Is it just your belief?
No,
just
it's
natural
just,
belief?
It's my strong belief, Prabhu, and I've heard from all like senior.
If you had never
strong
heard
belief.
from anyone, would you still have that belief?
No, I will not.
So the people who told you, did they tell you that they actually read about it and therefore they know, or they also say that it is just their belief? What is your assumption? What could be from the people that you heard? Do you think it was just their belief, just a natural belief since birth, or do you think they have read about it or heard from someone that has read about it?
Heard from someone that has definitely read about
So what you think is just your belief is based on it is borrowed belief. Someone else's belief based on their reading. And you've just borrowed it because it feels simpler for you. You need to have your own belief system. It cannot be a borrowed belief system because it only lasts for some time. Alright?
Yes.
So for your own belief system, you'll have to explore. So either you go on chanting yourself and have your own realizations. That is one process. It is a long process. Or you read about it. So you may find difficulty reading scriptures. Why don't you read about devotees who have had good experiences with chanting? Read articles about them. We are fortunate enough that we have at least 10,000 years, if not more, of people of different generations having experiences with chanting of the holy names or devotional service. Why don't you just read about, in simple language, what we say is that if you find difficulty reading scriptures, why don't you just read the Leela part of the scriptures? Just read that. At least get used to reading scriptures. Read it in part. Skip what you feels to be very cumbersome. Skip it. All right. Like Bhagavad Gita, you feel that it is very cumbersome. Just read the part where Krishna describes this devotee of mine is very great. This devotee of mine, because it explains about qualities of devotees. You may like that. Oh, this devotee is very great. Read it. I think it's the 12th chapter. Yo me bhakta same priya. Yo me bhakta same priya. Krishna explains. Why such a devotee is very great. Maybe you like it. Just read those parts. Is that alright?
Yes, Prabhu.
Then you'll have your own. It will be your personal belief system.
No, thanks.
Okay?
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Alright, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.